What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. And last night in the Hexter TCG tournament, I lost to a deck that included a 2-2 line of Butterfree VMAX. So here we are with a Butterfree VMAX deck profile. Before we jump into the deck, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off. So the deck we're looking at today is sort of a Rillaboom box deck, and it includes a 2-2 line of Butterfree VMAX, so people have been excited to see this card actually be somewhat playable in this deck, so it's being called a Butterfree VMAX deck, which I'm fine with. That makes sense. To be fair, if you go back and watch my tier list video, I said Eggrow Rillaboom had some potential, but Butterfree VMAX had none. A list very similar to this was taken to top 16 of the Hexter tournament a couple days ago by Israel Sosa, and then I played against this list, which is just a bit different. Last night when I was playing Inteleon VMAX, and I lost to it. So people wanted to see this on the channel, so here we are. So the deck revolves around accelerating energy with Rillaboom. It has the Voltage Beat ability. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 grass energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. So previously this was being played with Eggrow and Rillaboom VMAX. I don't think Rillaboom VMAX is any good anymore. It maybe had some potential, but now that there's too many VMAXs in the format, Rillaboom VMAX has a damage cap, much like Grimmsnarl VMAX, rendering it almost useless. So you want to start out with Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor tag team for its super growth attack, which is free to use. Search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your grass Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. If that Pokemon is now stage 1, search your deck for stage 2 and evolve it. So if you go second on your first turn, you can evolve a Grookey up to a Thwackey up to a Rillaboom for 0 energy. Both of Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor's attacks are very good, and Calming Hurricane just so happens to be fairly good against my deck, since I was playing Inteleon, and healing a little bit of damage is pretty useful when I'm not doing too much damage. So, Calming Hurricane, 150 for 3 energy, heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. So just a little chunk of damage, little chunk of heal, but especially if you are using Big Charm and you heal a little bit with Mallow Lana, it's more of like a supplementary heal to go on top of other cards. And then Tropical Hour GX for 3 grass, it does 200. If you have 3 extra energy of any kind attached to it, you also shuffle all energy from all of your opponent's Pokemon into their deck. So this GX attack is incredibly strong, and it's kind of why I see any sort of potential in a Rillaboom box deck, just because that GX attack is so incredibly strong. Now let's take a look at the Butterfree line. There's a 2-2 line of this. I will note my opponent did not use Butterfree VMAX against me at all. It only made its way into the discard pile. The V really has nothing of note, and then the VMAX has 300 HP and has Gmax Tox Breeze Grass Colorless for 150. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned, so confusion makes them have to flip a coin to attack. If tails, it doesn't work and they take some damage, and then poison, they take 10 damage between turns. This card is really bad. This deck, I think, is just suboptimally built when it's including Butterfree VMAX. Like, this could be Salamence VMAX, and for 4 energy you do 240, and for 1 energy you spread 40-40, as opposed to the 150, especially if Salamence VMAX could just give you another weakness to work with. So if you're playing against a fire deck and you can't use Rowlet, you can use your Salamence VMAX line. Maybe even Snorlax VMAX could be better than this. You swing for more damage. I don't know, but Butterfree VMAX is just a really bad card, and I think people are playing it just to have fun and say that they are doing well Butterfree VMAX, and that's fine. If you're having fun with the game, that's really what matters. But if you're looking for an optimal list, I really don't think Butterfree VMAX is the optimal way to go, especially when the deck is not playing any sort of way to play off of those special conditions. There's nothing in the deck that makes Confusion or Poison any better for you than it would be in any other deck. The last attacker, Dubwool V, which is really, really good. I've been seeing it thrown into a lot of decks. I've been throwing it into more decks myself. I think it's a really solid card that's seeing its place in the meta as a one of attacking Pokemon sometimes. So, 210 HP basic colorless V. The ability Soft Wool, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. And then Revenge Blast, 120 for 3 colorless, and it does 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So, because of Soft Wool, if you have a Big Charm on it, it takes 270 damage to one-shot Dubwool V, which is a nice chunk of damage. And then Revenge Blast, if your opponent has taken 5 prize cards, this does 270 for 3 energy. If they've taken 4 prize cards, it does 240, and so on and so forth. But it's really, really strong once your opponent has taken a couple prize cards. After they've just taken 2 prize cards, you can start using this to knock out Crobats and the DAAs and Eldegoss that are sitting on the bench. So Revenge Blast, pretty strong. As for the support Pokemon, there are no DAA, but it does play 2 Crobat V and 1 Eldegoss. I suppose it doesn't play any DAA because you are playing a Stage 2 line. Also nice to see a Stage 2 Pokemon line being used, even if it's only support Pokemon, still nice to see. As for the supporters, we've got 4 Professor's Research and 3 Marnie for draw support, in addition to the 2 copies of Bird Keeper. So switching can be very important in this deck because you want to get Eggrow into the active to make sure you attack with that if you're going second. Now let's just take a look at the retreat costs. So Butterfree has 1 retreat cost, Grookey has 1 retreat cost, Crobat and Eldegoss have 1 retreat cost, and Dubwool has 2. So pretty much as long as you start with anything besides Dubwool, you can retreat into Eggrow for 1 energy. And if you start with Dubwool, you'll need, you'll need Mallow Lana or 2 Bird Keeper, or one of your 2 Bird Keeper, or the Air Balloon to get the Dubwool out to use Super Growth on your first turn going second. Now, you do play 2 Guzma Holo, which can be really nice. So it can either get you your Air Balloon to get Dubwool out, or the Capture Energy to attach to anything and retreat into Eggrow. And Capture Energy also searches out your Eggrow. Capture Energy is a card I really love, and I had it included in my Rillaboom VMAX lists in the Rebel Clash era, so I think it only makes sense to have it here. Other supporters, we see the Mallow Lana, which I already noted, the Guzma Holo, which we just mentioned, and the Cynthia Caitlin to draw 3, get a supporter back. The Team Yell Grunt, I can't really say it makes too much sense. I guess if you confuse them and make them have to retreat, then also returning an energy at the same time could make sense. Or if you just use Tropical Hour GX, then they reattach the new Team Yell Grunt. But the Team Yell Grunt kind of feels a little out of place, but I suppose there are some pretty cool plays you could do with either Confusion and remove an energy, or Tropical Hour and then the following turn remove an energy. It's playing 1 Reset Stamp and 2 Power Plant. I think I'd like to see it just go up to 2 Reset Stamp. And then for Pokemon Search, 4 Quick Ball, 2 Pokemon Communication, which seems fine, and 2 Ordinary Rod, and I think that's just because you want to make sure you have enough Grass Energy in the deck, but this isn't like Rillaboom VMAX where you were discarding your energy and need it to be flowing onto the board, so I feel like 1 Ordinary Rod might be good enough. If I didn't already mention it, it's running 3 Bosses Orders, which is pretty standard for most decks, and we did mention the Big Charm as well. Note that the Power Plant shuts off Keldeo-GX's ability, and Keldeo may or may not be in Inteleon lists, and then it allows Calming Hurricane to one-shot Keldeo because it's weak to grass. So that might have happened to me. We also have the 2 Weakness Guard Energy to remove Fire Weakness. Like I said, another VMAX will give you another weakness to work with, but Weakness Guard Energy just removes the weakness, which is also fine to do, I guess. And then 10 Grass Energy to round out the deck. So, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I always think it's cool to see lesser viable cards being used, but my issue with this is I don't think this is the optimal card. So, if you're using, like, rogue cards or unused, undiscovered cards, and they actually turn out to be the optimal choice, that's amazing. I love when that happens, but I just don't feel like Butterfree VMAX is the optimal choice here, and it's just being included for the sake of including Butterfree VMAX, which is my issue with this. But like I said, if people are having fun with it, it doesn't really affect me until I, lose to it in a tournament. So I hope you enjoyed this Butterfree VMAX deck profile. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already and you'd like to see more content like this in the future. Leave a like on the video because it really does help me reach more viewers. Hashtag generic YouTuber thing to say. And check out PotonStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Make sure you use code CELIO for 5% off when you're shopping through their large selection of PTCGO codes over there. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.